Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric and I like to read, and today I'm going to be doing the 10 book challenge. So essentially this challenge is just very plain and simple. I literally choose 10 books and then I explain to you why they had some sort of lasting impact on me. I don't have to go into too much detail. It says to be pretty brief for each one. Although knowing me, I like to explain things, so I might go into detail with some of them. But yeah, I just have a stack of 10 books that had some sort of lasting impression on me, and I'm going to tell you why. So that's pretty much it. I found this through like a book blogging list, and I will put the book blog post for this one in the description down below so you can go check that out as well and see what that person picked for their 10 books. So let's just jump right into it. The first one I have on this list is Will Grayson, Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. This book had a lasting impression on me because, well, John Green's writing is just beautiful to begin with. And him paired with David Levithan, the two of them working together, just seemed to be like a perfect combination in a sense. And so this story is following two boys. I'm trying to remember their name. Hold on, let me check the back. Oh, I'm trying to remember their names. It's literally the title of the book. So this book follows the story of two Will Graysons who accidentally meet up in real life and realize that they have the exact same name. And so from there, they kind of become a part of each other's lives in like different ways. And it's just like them being teenagers, exploring different things about themselves. I really enjoyed this book. There was a lot to do with exploring one's sexuality, and it hit home for me because at the time I was also kind of like struggling with coming to terms that like I'm bisexual, and so this book had that lasting impression on me just because like I had known that I was different pretty much like my whole life, but seeing it with other characters in like a book being represented, I just felt seen. And so that was just really like impacting to me, and so that's why this book had a lasting impression on me. It's one of my favorite books by John Green. I just, yeah, I really will pick up anything that guy writes. The next book on this list is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And so this was my first time reading anything by Blake Crouch. And this book was such a mind bender and I was so into it. I loved it so much. This is the mass market paperback, and I'm showing this one because this is the one that Marcus got me as a gift when we were first starting to date. We also have the hardcover down on the shelf over there. It's with the matching like recursion. Well, they're not matching, but they're both hardcovers, and they kind of look like they're part of a set, even though they're both individual books. But yeah, anyways, so we have two versions of this. But this book was like such a mind bender. I had no idea what to expect going into this, and I was so into this storyline and just wanting to try and figure out what was going on, and just yeah, I was blown away. I read this book so fast, and I didn't think that I was going to read it as fast as I did. I thought that it was going to be a lot more like hard sci-fi, and there are definitely some hard sci-fi elements to it, but it was just like I just picked it up and started reading so quickly, and I didn't want to put it down, and I wanted to know what was going to happen with these characters and how it was going to wrap up, and I just had so many theories while I was reading this, so it was just a really fun thing to like kind of puzzle through and just follow along with. I also find that Blake Crouch has a fun way to like tie in scientific elements with like action and make everything kind of feel like it's life or death situations. So I find that that's really fun, and it definitely gets your heart pounding when you're reading this book. So that was something that I enjoyed as well. So in this book, we're following a main character who wakes up, but when he wakes up, he realizes that he's in a world that is not his own. There are lots of similarities, but then there are also lots of differences and things that just don't line up with what his like life has already been up until now. And so it's him trying to figure out what's going on and what's happening with his life, or like if he's having like a mental breakdown or something like that. And so, yeah, that's all I'm going to really tell you. I don't want to say any more. Just read this book and you will be like pulled right in. The next one on this list was actually given to me by a friend for a birthday present, and that is Battle Royale. And so this one is a chunker of a book, first of all, but I flew through this. This is essentially like the Hunger Games, but way more gruesome, and you actually follow along with like all the characters rather than just have the perspective of one character. So it's hard because you get like attached to a lot of different people, but you know that I guess I should tell you the premise too is every year a random class in I think it's Japan, a random class is chosen and they are sent into this like island where the kids are given items and then they have to the kids are given random items and then they have to fight to the death and only one survives. So it's very like similar to Hunger Games, and I'm pretty sure Hunger Games actually was inspired by this. But yeah, this gets so gruesome, and the one hard thing is that there's so many character names to remember. So that is a little hard, but like you're following perspectives of so many of these characters and you're rooting for so many of them when you know that only one of them is going to survive, and it's heartbreaking, it's action packed. You're constantly like fearing for each person's life as this goes on, and yeah, it gets so intense and brutal and gory, and just yeah, it's such an intense book. Such an intense book. I still haven't watched the movie yet. I do want to watch the movie because I feel like, well, clearly this book had a lasting impression on me. So I think the movie is probably going to be something to do the same thing. But yeah, this one was awesome. Then I have The Maze Runner. It's right here. I'm not pulling it out of the box because I'm lazy, but I have the whole trilogy here. So The Maze Runner, this one had a lasting impression on me because I read this one when I was in college, and that was kind of when I was getting really back into reading again, mainly because I was in a design program, so like I didn't have too much homework that was like studying for tests or anything like that. All of our homework was design related, so we were doing art or like creating different design mock-ups or things like that. So we didn't have to actually like study that much. So I had a lot of free time when I wasn't staying up till 4 a.m. like doing a design project. I had a lot of free time, and so I was getting back into reading more books, and Maze Runner, this whole series was one of the things that kind of like got me back into reading, and I was just so pulled into this story. So this one is following a bunch of teen boys who are kind of put into this place called the Glade, which is like this giant square, like grassy like camp area. But then every day it's also surrounded by like these giant walls, and every day on 4 sections of the wall it opens up into a giant maze. And so the boys like go out running through the maze trying to find a way to get out of this like place that they're in. And then they have to come back before the end of the day because the doors close, and if they close then they're stuck out in the maze, and things happen out in the maze when night comes. So yeah, it was very intriguing, and the whole time you're like wondering what is going on, like what's this overarching plot that is like happening, and how are these guys stuck here, where are the different boys like coming from. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that had me like asking questions the whole time while reading this, and I was just really invested in the storyline. I was following along with Thomas, trying to figure out what was happening at the same time he was. And yeah, I just think it was a lot of fun, and overall like a really good trilogy. The first book is the one that got me hooked, but the whole trilogy like I rather enjoyed quite a bit. The next book I have is The Speed of Falling Objects, and this is by Nancy Fisher. And so this book actually had a lasting impression on me because I got this book when I went to visit HarperCollins, like their office. I was in Toronto for a weekend, and I decided to message them, and Marisol from HarperCollins was like, yeah, come on by, I'll give you a tour of the office. So I went to the office, and it was super cool because I had never like seen anything in the publishing industry at all. So I got to see the office and walk around, and Marisol was like showing me all the different like parts of their office where they had like different people for different like sections of the publishing industry, and I got to see like their desks and stuff and their like reading stacks, which is really cool. But yeah, I grabbed this actually off a table because we got to a point where there was a table with a bunch of uncorrected proofs and arcs, and she said, take your pick of a book on this table, you can take it home with you. So this one stuck out to me because I saw this like cover and I thought it just looked like very intriguing, and I was pulled into the cover. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just take this one. I was also like nervous, so I didn't want to take too long to read the backs of all the books. So I was just like, that one looks good. I'm gonna take that one. I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed this book because I didn't even know what it was about. I had zero expectations going into it, and I was blown away. This book is actually following a character named Danielle, and so she had a childhood injury where she injured one of her eyes, and so she's only got like part of her vision, and she goes to visit her father, who is like the host of this survival show, and he asks her to come on the show with him. So she goes on this show, but the survival show is for this other celebrity boy who is also going to be like working with her father to show like he can survive out in the woods, kind of like a Bear Grylls style, but like with celebrities. And so she is on the show being filmed with this guy that she quickly realizes is like a teen heartthrob, and so she's like nervous, also kind of has a little bit of a crush on him, and then her dad's like doing his thing. When they go on the show though, their plane actually crashes in the Amazon when they're trying to fly to like the certain spot that they were going to film at. And so now they're thrown into like actual survival mode, and they need to survive for real so that they can get to somewhere where they can get rescued. And so this is just following the story of these characters as they're trying to survive in the Amazon. It was like super intense, not what I was expecting at all, and I was so blown away with just like how realistic it was and how the different like interactions happened. It also was cool because like they're trying to survive, so you kind of like pull real information from like what they're doing in regards to trying to survive. And so like they're talking about like different species of like caterpillar, for example, and you get to like learn about that at the same time. I'm really big into survivalist stories, so this was just like something that I didn't know I needed, and then I read it and I was just so happy that I had it. So yeah, this one definitely had a lasting impression on me. The next one, of course, everybody knows this. Like, if you're new to my channel, then you probably don't know, but if you're not new to my channel, then you know what I'm about to put up. Red Rising. This is like literally my favorite book of all time. So yeah, I won't go into too much detail about this, but this one, I like to tell people it's the Hunger Games set in space with like Roman gods. And that's pretty much all I usually say. But this is my all-time favorite book. Fantastic series. They're also currently working on the secondary series. There are 2 books out of that trilogy so far, so there's one more to go. And you can bet that I am anticipating that one like 100%. When that one comes out, I am snatching that up right away. If there's pre-orders, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I'm excited to continue on with that secondary trilogy of this series. But great book. And then, of course, we have Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This one, I didn't know what to expect going into it because it's a mixed media format. So, like, everything is told in, like, recordings from a camera or newsletters or memos or just, like, different things like that. Or, like text conversations over, like, a chat program. But nothing is told in, like, the traditional sense of, like, a novel style. So it's really cool because you're piecing everything together to like form this story in your head. And yeah, it's just like there were times when I was reading this book where the text is like swirling around on the page. So I'm going like this, like flipping the book around while I'm reading it. I feel like if anybody saw me reading this book, they'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing? But yeah, this book was so good. It's following a colony on space that's attacked by another corporation. And so technically this colony is not even supposed to be there in the first place. So they're trying to escape this corporation who is attacking them. But they have like a rogue AI on their ship that is also wanting to do its own thing. And there are other elements that I can't even say because that would be like, I don't want to get too much into it, but there are even bigger things that are happening apart from those 2 things. So like there is so much going on in this book all at once, and it is like a thrill ride from start to finish. This one was one of the ones that like I couldn't put down. I read like so late into the evening trying to like finish this book. I say into the evening, but I read so late into the AM is what I'm saying. This was a really good one. Then I have Still Alice by Lisa Genova. And this one, it had a lasting impression on me because this one deals with a woman who gets Alzheimer's. And so it's her coming to terms with like what she's going to do with the rest of her life and how this is going to affect her family because she gets like early onset Alzheimer's. I think she's only like 50 or 51 when she gets it. And so immediately she's like thrown into a world where she starts like piece by piece forgetting who she is. And it's also very interesting because like you're following the perspective of the person with Alzheimer's, which is not normally a thing you get to follow along with. So you kind of get to see their mind deteriorate from their perspective, which is a terrifying thing because Alzheimer's is like a terrifying disease in general. And another reason like this had an impact on me is because I've dealt with it personally. Like my grandmother had Alzheimer's, so I got to see it firsthand. And so getting to see how the perspective of this main character like changed over time, it was really interesting to like see that kind of perspective. And just like you feel so much for these characters and like their family and what everything they're going through. Like it's definitely a hard-hitting read, but also a very good one. Then we have Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. And so this one, I just really enjoyed this book. This is following a Spitfire main character named Spencer who is joining like a flight school to become a pilot to pilot spaceships to fight against aliens that are trying to attack their planet. And so the reason she's like so gung-ho to do it is because her father was actually in this flight school, but he like went rogue on a mission and went against the orders and ended up getting killed. And so he was branded a coward. And so her whole like life mission now is to not be branded a coward and be like a good pilot. And yeah, it's like a fun book. And the main character just, yeah, I think she's got a lot of fire in her, and it's really cool to see like how she interacts with the team and works with other people to become like a badass pilot. So definitely worth checking out. And then the last one I have on this list is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This one was like a hidden gem. I didn't know what to expect from this book. I actually received this from Simon & Schuster when I was like very early on starting out my blogging. I was going to say blogging career, but like blogging hobby. It'd be cool if it was a career, but anyways, I got this very early on and I read this entire book in one single plane ride. I think the plane ride was only like 2 hours too. So I read this book in like 2 hours, but I was so blown away. Like this book has quite a twist ending. I had no idea that was coming. And so when I read it, I was just like, what the heck? Like my mind was blown because I thought I knew what was going on. I thought I understood everything. And then I get to the end and it was like, whoa. I had no idea that was where it was going. So that's all I'll say. Like if you guys read this book, you'll understand. It is quite intense. They've also made an adaptation of it on Netflix. I will say they did a really good job of making you feel uncomfortable. But I would definitely recommend the book over the adaptation. And of course, there I go rambling on about all these 10 books, but that's my whole list of my 10 books for the 10 books challenge. I definitely explained further than I needed to for a lot of these, but you know, like I like to explain the story behind why things had lasting impressions on me. So yeah, if you guys want to do this, I'll link to the blog post that I found it for, and I'll put like the brief bullet points for it in the description of the video down below so you guys can try it out as well. I would definitely be curious to see what you guys choose for your 10 books. So let me know if you do end up doing it. If you guys want to support me, I have a Patreon and a Coffee page, which I'll put in the description down below, as well as a link to buy my bookmarks. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so you get notified when I post new videos. I post my videos on Mondays and Thursdays. And until next time, keep on reading.